Hello everyone, it's me, Pardesh Mangul Meche from Nagar 3, Jhapa, Nepal. Firstly, to all the people, those who are able to see me and are able to hear me, from the core of my heart, I would like to warmly welcome you all. And with due respect, I just want to share respectful and revolutionary salute to all of you. Jai Mongol. Due to the virus named COVID-19, the world is facing a great tragedy, as you all know that, and we are not aware about the actual reality, what is happening throughout the world, and we are just staying at home and are not able to gain more knowledge. How can we utilize our leisure time? It has become a challenge for us, and this challenge can be the depressed mood for us as well. And now we can say that due to that, people are being lazy and are facing different problems. So to all the readers, to all the people, those who wants to know, those who are eager and interested to know the reality of the Nepalese politics, for them I am trying to present the audio clip of the book entitled Hidden Facts in Nepalese Politics, written by our famous Nepali leader, Dr. Gopal Guru, who is considered to be the philosopher, leader, politician, writer, and not only that, he is being compared with the famous African leader Nelson Mandela too. And the book named Hidden Facts in Nepalese Politics, it was originally published in Khas language, so-called Nepali language, and later on in the second edition it was published in English language, and it gained popularity all over the world. At first, when the original version was published, then the book was highly criticized by the so-called great leaders, but they are totally the racist rulers. And today, due to this book, there has been a drastic change in the Nepalese politics, and I am very happy that I am going to share the verse which was written by the immortal hands of Dr. Gopal Guru. The wonderful words are here. There has been a great historical writings right here, and it will help us to awake from the unconscious state. And this audio clip, I will be sharing the voice of this audio clip. I will be sharing with you very soon, and I hope you guys will listen it and give us a feedback. I don't have much more to say, just I would like to request all of you to listen it and give us a feedback. Thank you very much. Jai Mongol. The book that sent me to jail, Hidden Facts in Nepalese Politics, 7th edition in 2020, Dr. Gopal Guru. Preface. Mr. Gopal Guru, the author of this book,
was arrested by the Panchayat government on the 30th of August 1988, just after the publication of the second edition in 1988, based on the charge on racial discrimination against the Hindu rulers and politicians. He was arrested under the Two State Offence Act at the time and was sent to the Bhadragol Central Jail for 3 years without any adequate charge sheet. In the jail, there was no separate cell for the political prisoners, and he had to share the room with other criminals. He was given 700 grams of coarse rice and 4 rupees per day, nearly 10 cents, for minimal subsistence. On 1st January 1989, he established his political organization, Mongol National Organization, along with its own flag and manifesto. During his stay in jail, he was not sound in health, and any prolonged confinement in the unhealthy atmosphere at the jail would have badly deteriorated his physical condition. But luckily, after the abrogation of one party panchayat system, a multi party system came into existence and people became free from the bondage of the arbitrary panchayat government. Consequently, Mr. Gopal Gurung and many other political prisoners were released unconditionally. Mr. Gurung was released on the 13th of April 1990. He spent 1 year and 8 months in jail. During his stay in jail, he received much support from journalists, writers, and other well-wishers, not only from his homeland but from abroad. PEN and Amnesty International London, Amnesty International Denmark, Press Foundation of Asia Manila Philippines, all that Journalist Council, India, and many others had corresponded on the government level for his early release, along with their human rights efforts. A chain of letters poured in from the well-wishers of Nepal, India, Indonesia, Norway, France, and Denmark. A host of people of Buddhist and Christian religions prayed for his sound health and early release. Here are some of the excerpts of these letters. I hope it will be possible for you in 1990 to leave prison as a free man. Mrs. Lone Hindo, Lord Mayor, Aarhus, Denmark. The hardships of your imprisonment have not affected your courage and determination to fight for your humanistic ideals. I want you to accept my admiration for what you did, not only to your own country, but also to the human rights all over the world. Crystal Mehen, Copenhagen, Denmark. From an Amnesty news letter, I had already learned the wonderful news that you had been released from prison, and I can't tell you how happy I was. Gittelenge, Fensen, Order, Denmark. If there is anything we can do to supplement the prison diet, please let us know. We had not realized that Nepal is so divided racially. KB Simpson, Payne, London. I wrote all your names on a piece of paper and carried it in my brooch, which I had around my neck. Each time I held it in my hand, I was thinking about you and prayed that you are all right. Annette, lawyer, Haveloden, Denmark. People now discuss whether the Danish queen should have invited your king for a state visit, which took place last year. I encourage you to keep on working with your new book. You know that your release and work now has been described in Amnesty International's magazine. Frederik French, Hoslands, Usen, Denmark. We would like you to know that you will not be forgotten, even though Nepal and Denmark are far away from each other. We are still working on your case, and a lot of people have heard about you already. On behalf of Amnesty International Group, Anne Pedersen, Orange, Denmark. Hopefully, 1990 will be the year when you will be able to leave prison and start a new life as a free man. I am 13 years old, Renate Iversen, Denmark. You will be allowed to live as a free man in 1990, Hanne Bisgard, Paris. We are some students from a social school in Denmark. We have heard about you from our teachers. We are looking forward to hear from you, Eva and Nina. These above excerpts are just a few drops of a pond. It shows how the present world responded on humanistic grounds towards the good cause of a freedom fighter. They know Mr. Gurung's struggle is not a communal one, and their support is for universally approved human rights, democracy, and freedom. So, hidden facts in Nepalese politics is a sort of payment for the manifesto of his newly formed political organization, Mongol National Organization. How this book was written. At first, I loved to call myself a Nepali, but when I traveled extensively in Nepal to the villages of Tamu, Magar, Sherpa, Tamang, Tharu, Dimal, Limbu, Rai, Koch, and studied their condition and unwritten history. To my dismay, I found these people neglected in every respect in every part of the nation. Some households were always under the yoke of poverty, and they were always in debt, even though their 5 or 6 family members were serving as mercenaries in foreign countries. I found the aboriginal Mongol tribes of Nepal who were crushed and dominated to be backward in every political, economical, religious, educational, and cultural aspect. The CEO of the districts, who are appointed mostly from Bahun and Kshetri caste, are other civil servants of all government offices, are mostly favored and selected from these two castes, discriminated against the children of the retired soldiers from these Mongol tribes by not giving them their rights or their citizenship. Even in schools, admission for these children was not encouraged. Ironically, myself I had been known as a brave Gorkha, even though I had being from one of these neglected Mongol tribes. Now, however, I feel proud to call myself a Gurung Tamil rather than a Nepali. A few years back, I was invited to deliver a speech during a program in a Gurung community in Budwa, and old Tamu person was carried there from a remote Parbat district by his sons. The route was a long walk of many days. That old person was an ex-soldier of pre-independent India. He was over 100 years old. Can you imagine how much his pension was? It was unbelievable but true. He was getting only 5 rupees per month. He sacrificed his valuable life for others' sake in a foreign land and came back to Nepal earning a pension of only 5 rupees per month. I met another ex-serviceman in Dharan in 1963. He was a Limbu, a Mongol. I felt 2 bullet leads near his temple with my own hand and asked him, "Do they hurt you?" He said, "No." During Nepal's independence struggle of 1950, so many Mongol people of Nepal died for their country. Many became physically disabled. Many were brutally jailed, but these Mongols are not mentioned in Nepal's history. Funds were not raised for their families, nor was the question of erecting any memorials for the soldiers. In the long run, I came to know that the image inside of Nepal was not the same as it looked from outside of Nepal. The Gurkha force is one of the main sources of foreign currency in Nepal, for it brings in around 10,000 million rupees every year. But the Gurkha soldiers are neglected in facilities. Every respect. They have no good schools and lack roads facilities in their villages. Even though 20% of the total population of Nepal is the Hindus, they had 60% of the total land, whereas Aboriginal Mongol people have about 7% of the total land for their livelihood. You can count on your fingers the number of those neglected people holding high prestigious ranks in the government and even in the domestic forces like army and police. Even these few examples can provide the sad picture of our reality. Once I gave a complimentary copy of New Light weekly paper to a well-known Bahun poet who I used to respect very much, but he suddenly flared up saying, "Why on earth is a guru publishing a paper? Your race is meant for handling bows, arrows, and rifles." I was shocked and retorted back something before leaving him. An intellectual, political figure, and economist Bahun once had counseled another Bahun about a certain development program on a remote hilly area, said that a road should never be built in an area where there are no Bahun and Kshetri settlements, because to open good roads in the villages of the Bhotias is like cutting off one's leg. There are so many examples of such favoritism and nepotism. The Bahuns and Kshetris keep aside even their mutual struggles for power and collaborate together to suppress our peoples. Such instances make me inwardly rebellious. They will continue to treat us inhumanly unless our Mongol people wake up and fight for their rights. So I have taken up my pen to fight their racial battle, even though they have often imputed and intimidated me by phone calls and letters under fictitious names. A freedom fighter of the democratic movement of 1950 had taken a photo of himself with King Tribhuvan and had it hanging in his room. He was sincerely serving and handling his government office with great efficiency, but his post was sacked just before a few months of his retiring date, just because he was one of our people. At the time, Kirtinidhi Vishta was the Prime Minister of Nepal. After retirement, the poor old man had to survive under the shelter of others. Then he became sick and died on the footpath. A book of records can be published if we collect such tragic events, as this reflects our past, present, and future. So I am writing and spreading as best I can about the hidden facts of exploitation, suppression, and deprivation against our race by the caste. Let's pronounce we are no more blindfolded, dumb, and coward. This book is a compilation of a series of editorials written and published in the New Light Weekly from September 1984 to February 1985. Now, I am so happy to let the readers know that the readers of Gorkha Battalion in Borneo readily paid even 110 Borno dollar for a single copy of this book, whereas the cost of the second edition was only rupees 25 Nepali currency. Since the book was not available to many interested readers, some of them distributed photocopies of this book and some even copied the book with their own handwriting. Readers and booksellers faced torture of the police in different parts of the country. So far, I have received thousands of appreciation letters from the readers. This book is still banned in Sikkim, the 22nd state of India. Some of the Bounce paper criticized badly and advised to the government of Panchayat system to keep me in jail for a long time. One of them is a minister, Ramchandra Paudel, in present government, and the other is one of the advisors, Jai Prakash Ananda, of the Prime Minister, Girija Prasad Koirala. At last, I would like to extend my cordial thanks to Ratan Gurung, one of the vice presidents of All India Gurung Association, Darjeeling, Captain Padam Gurung, Balbari, Rupandehi. His name was published Bal Bahadur Gurung in the third edition of Nepali by mistake. B.K. Rai, Gantok, Sikkim, and Bhimsen Deuja Rai, Translator of this book, Kathmandu, June 1994, Gopal Gurung. Before the compromise of the two leaders Manmohan Adhikari and Sahana Pradhan, the Communist Party of Nepal had been split into 22 factions. Manmohan's political alignment was towards Moscow, although he had visited Beijing for medical treatment. Later, he justified his intention to visit Moscow by spreading a rumor that he was going to visit Moscow in the near future on the grounds of needing medical treatment. And to support this justification, he held a joint meeting of different factions of the Communist Party in Viratnagar and later in Gorakhpur, where he indicated his pro-Moscow inclination. No one could believe his statement that said his intentions were still to be in alignment with China. His straight stance was neither on this side nor on that side. At last, he visited Moscow, but not on medical grounds. His political maneuver on 11th August 1984 for coalescing the different factions of communist parties under one assembly in order to exchange of ideas was significant because the panchayat system had been previously benefited by too many factions in the parties and it was enjoying a divide and rule policy. The communist factions led by Manmohan, Sahana Pradhan, Nirmal Lama, Krishnaraj Burma, Tulasilal Amatya, Siddhilal Singh, Mali Marx-Leninist, and some other major leaders of other factions had participated in the Viratnagar meeting, excluding the pro-Russian Kesarjung Raimajis group that had aligned itself with the panchayat system from the very beginning, and Mohan's Bikram's group Masal, which had already secretly been affiliated with the panchayat system in its every activities. Many pro-Chinese communist parties preferred to choose the line of the pro-Russian Communist Party as a result of this meeting. Besides these parties, a big group of radical communists was attached to the panchayat system, and this panchayat communist group was working actively within the framework of one-party panchayat system. Despite the fact that the above joint meeting had acted as a common arena for the change of the leaders' views, it did not prove their readiness to join together for revolution. If they all started agitation against the panchayat system entirely, then the Congress party would ally itself with the panchayat system in order to strike back against the communists. Two factions of the Congress party had already joined the panchayat system, deserting their own group primarily because of racial discriminations. The panchayat and the Congress alliance could get along together better than a panchayat and communist alliance. In spite of this, to create a greater force against the panchayat party, which claimed to be the only authentic, flawless democratic party, both the communist and Congress parties should have united together to bring the down of the multi-party system in Nepal. But the so-called iron pillars of the Congress and the Panchayat parties considered themselves to be the pioneers of the Hindu religion by contributing secret donations to their Indian Hindu counterparts. They declared Nepal as the only Hindu kingdom of the world, but I would say the lonely and the last Hindu kingdom. The communal pioneers of the panchayat system and the elect leaders of the prohibited Congress party and even the radical communist leaders have a mutual understanding and parallel dialogue in such a racial issue. Their dialogues never contradicted in such a communal matter. The Congress party seemed to be divided into two factions, comprising Krishna Prasad Bhattrai in one faction and Girja Prasad Koirala in the other. Pro-Panchayat faction, Koirala's political dream would come to an end if he had compiled with ruling party as other communist factions had merged themselves into oblivion. Ganesh Man Singh, who had a long political experience, had been an Iron Man, not only for the democracy struggle but also for his party. He had undergone life and death trials during the Rana period. He put his life at stake in the democracy movement more vigorously than B.P. Koirala, who was in favor of merging Nepal into India at the time for the sake of his ancestral land, religion, and culture, as India's Banaras was the only holy pilgrimage place of the Bounds, who preferred to go there to take their last breath or to have dipped their ashes remanent after death and dreamed of attaining salvation afterwards. Therefore, Koirala's educational and political career was rooted in his birthplace, India. Because of this, Ganesh Man Singh never had to ponder and move carefully every time, since he was not a Bahun. For today, I am reciting this much. This is the first part, and I hope you guys all had listened this. I will come up with the second part at the same time tomorrow. For today,